Coming up on the HisViewZ podcast.
The one that I'm really focusing on right now is learning to trust myself.
Oh,
and that no matter what I choose, I thought it was the right decision in that moment, and I just need to be able to roll with the punches and make it work. Learn to trust yourself, and you got it.
So not being afraid of failure.
Yeah, because, I mean, every failure is just one more stepping stone to what you want to get to.
You ready?
Ready.
You were born ready?
About that.
Thanks for making the drive.
Yeah, it was really not that bad, honestly. There was only like standstill for like 5 minutes, and then it was fine. So
it's where do you live again?
Hickory.
Hickory.
Yeah.
Not
so
Newton. Hickory.
No, yeah. I grew up in Newton, but I live in Hickory now.
You grew up in Newton.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, Hickory and Newton, since they made 16,
yeah,
it's way more accessible.
For sure. But I came 321, so.
You took the scenic route.
Yeah.
The scenic route.
That's pretty.
Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. I know it's a kind of not a short ride.
No, but I mean, there's only very few people I would drive out here on a work night for, so.
I feel special, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell people what you do for a living, what you do on the side, and all that good stuff. We'll get into more details, but go ahead and introduce yourself.
I don't know. Well, I'm Cheyenne Sandoval. It's nice to meet y'all. I'm 20. I'm a full-time welder right now, so I work on TIG stainless steel, and I have a podcast of my own, do a bit of modeling on the side.
She got it going on.
There's a lot of things I'm interested in, probably too much for my own good. So
I wanted to, there's a bunch of things I wanted to ask you. I wanted to cover the welding. How did you get into welding? I don't think I've ever met a female welder. When I was younger, I went to NASCAR Technical Institute.
Yeah, I think you told me that last
I did?
time we were together.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. And they had like this welding program, and we got to visit some of the welding shops and stuff. I don't think I've ever met a female welder, so I thought that was really cool. But what got you into that?
Well, I was the only welder in my class for like a whole year, but it started when I wanted to go to community college, and I really wanted to do cosmetology, but they had a waiting list for like 2 years, and I was like, okay, you know what? I want to get started on something now. I don't want to wait because it's going to be, however many years, and I'm impatient. So I was looking at what else they offered at my local place, and at the end of their list, it was welding technology, and I was like, Mom, like, I'm not doing that. Like, that's not for me. I mean, that'd be silly. But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, you know what? I could be good at it. I could make me money, maybe I'll just take one class. So I said, if I'll take one class and I like it, then I'll keep going. So I took a class, and I really enjoyed it. I liked the guys that I was with, and just kind of snowballed from there.
How long have you been doing it?
I'm about 3.5 years now.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I started when I was in high school.
That's very cool. And so I listened to a few of your podcasts.
Oh, no.
And so for those of you that don't know, Cheyenne in person is extremely quiet. Well, I don't know how you are around
people.
Well, yeah.
She's
extremely quiet around, newer people or whatever. But you actually have a lot to say, and you have a unique up and coming, like how you grew up.
Yeah, thank you.
We actually have a few things in common.
Oh, really?
Yes, you mentioned that you did some homeschooling.
I did.
I was homeschooled, or my mom tried to.
From 3rd grade?
From 3rd grade?
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. How did that?
It was kind of scary, in the beginning. Obviously, I was like, I'm not going to have any friends. Like, nobody's going to hang out with me anymore. But it was basically because I have an older brother, and he has spina bifida, so it makes him harder to walk around sometimes. So when they went to go tour the middle school with my brother, they were very rude to my mom and my brother, and she's like, no, I'm not doing this. Like, you guys are going to be mine. I'm going to take care of you the whole time.
This was public school?
Yeah, public school. And so from 4th grade on, I just started doing homeschooling with her, and I skipped a grade because of it. I was just doing so well.
Wow.
Yeah, it was easy for me, I guess. It was easy for me to like focus on something by myself, organize, do it my way, learn however much I wanted to, and then be done for the day. So it really worked out for me. And then I did co-ops and stuff like that to have personal interaction, of course.
What kind of co-ops?
So it's a bunch of like families getting together with their kids, and kind of like each mom teaches a subject.
Is it mostly? It's mostly homeschool kids, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. How did you feel that homeschooling affected your social skills? Because I asked that because for me, it made me. I was already a shy kid.
Oh yeah,
and
me
it
too.
it made me extremely introverted and extremely like to have a high amount of social anxiety because you're home all the time.
Yeah, when your other colleagues are just out there with 20 at least kids around them at all times.
Yeah, and then my mother was very strict with me, so I couldn't even go out and play with the other kids in our neighborhood. That's a whole different story right there.
Yeah.
But I was very sheltered. But in your experience, how did that affect your social skills?
In the beginning, it was a little rough. I was really shy as well, but I was a Girl Scout too, from kindergarten all the way to senior year. So that really helped me flourish and to become who I am today. And my mom was not about us to be like the, what do you call it? Stereotypical homeschooler. She wanted us to, have hobbies and things like that. So she took me to like an archery camp, and I met a lot of friends there. And then the co-ops were good. So that gave me a good, foot up on things compared to everyone else. So
yeah, hell yeah, that's cool. What's the name of your podcast so people can go check it out?
It's Actualized Potential. I know it's kind of long, but it's just kind of the whole reason that I named it that was because it's kind of helping me flourish into my potential. I feel like I have a lot that I want to achieve, and that's one of the avenues that I'm going to take in order to get there.
Nice. What is it about, or what made you want to start podcasting?
Well, ever since for like 3 years, I've been listening to them myself and enjoying them and gotten a lot of value from them. And, it also helps me like think about things from my own personal perspective. I listened to a bunch of different people from different points of view and different places. And it was good to kind of open up my mind in certain things. So I realized that maybe I've learned a lot and maybe I could share some. So my podcast is basically like a big sister type of vibe. Obviously, I'm petite. I'm not like mentally, an actual big sis. But yes, I have like big sister energy, I suppose. And I just kind of, it's not just for the girlies. It is kind of aimed towards them, but anybody is welcome.
Yeah, I mean, you present yourself as somebody who is much older than 20. Your mentality.
Thank you.
Again, I'm not around you when you're around like your people, but the way you present yourself, it's definitely a little bit more on the mature side.
Thank you.
And I picked that up from your podcast, but also more of your personality comes out, more of your age range comes out and stuff like that. So I thought it was really interesting. So keep doing it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Keep doing it. Yeah, I started this sort of as an outlet, kind of same reasons, because photography and making short films was my outlet, and now it's a job.
Right.
So it's a little heavier now when I have to go and pick up a camera. It's not therapeutic anymore. Right. Even if I'm on a trip. And
there's pressure now, where before it was just hanging out,
doing your thing. And I'm just like thinking in the back of my head now when I'm shooting, even when I'm like out of town or on a trip or whatever, I'm like, damn, I have to edit these later.
Right, yeah, I'm sure.
Like it's just
the dread before.
Right. But I started picking up other things. I recently picked up an electric guitar and I started reading more.
Nice.
Yeah, I love it.
I want to do that too, but
yeah, I love it. But podcasting really interested me because when I had a 9 to 5, to get me through my day, I would listen to guys like Joe Rogan.
Literally me.
I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts.
Yeah, me too.
Because they're off the wall and entertaining and they have a lot of interesting people on there. And there was one podcast that I used to listen to. I don't anymore, but it's called The Fighter and the Kid. With Brian Callen and
I think I've seen it, but I've never listened to it myself.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was I enjoyed it because it was two regular guys and they talked about their startup and how hard they had to work to get to where they were at, and all that stuff, and it was really encouraging, like on a entrepreneurial vibe. So fast forward to now, it's one of my favorite things to produce are interviews because they're very intimate.
Mm-hmm.
And if you shoot it well, it can be very engaging. So that's why I decided to do a video
That's really
podcast.
cool. Yeah, you're good at it too.
Thank you. I wanted to work on my people skills because
And this is the perfect way to do it.
It is. It's helping me express myself a little better.
Mm-hmm.
Helping me, keep a conversation going.
Right.
Sometimes I'm not the best at it, but
Well, me either, but all the pressure is gone when it's just a camera.
Correct.
You know what I mean? You can cut what you need to. And
correct. I try not to cut anything because I want people to have the real version.
Right, uncensored. Everything.
Right.
That's like how I am with mine. I try not to cut anything
Yeah.
unless, something off the wall happens.
Right. I think if you what's the point of cutting it? They're not going to get the real,
Real you, the
Yeah.
raw, unnatural.
Correct. You do modeling on the side. So that's how I met you.
Yeah.
Through the modeling stuff. When did that start?
That started, let me think, maybe like 2.5 years ago now?
Oh, it's very
Probably.
recent.
Yeah, maybe 3. I'm not sure. It's been a hot minute, but
How did that fall into your lap?
well, I've always been told when I was younger, my friends, they were like, "Oh my gosh, you should model. Like, you're so pretty." You need to-" And I was like, whatever. I'm too short. Nobody wants me. Like, I know that. So
Fast forward.
yeah, and then one of my friends actually got signed to a modeling agency, and I was like, well, you know what? Like, maybe a small girl from Hickory, North Carolina could try it. So I submitted my application, and they called me and said that they wanted me to be part of their agency, and I was like, oh my gosh,
cool.
like, this is crazy. Like,
Oh,
they
wait.
actually are interested in me.
Are you a part of an agency now? Or?
I am. It's not the same one, but I am with an agency at
That's
the
cool.
time.
That's right. I
now.
shot photos for you. I'm
Yeah.
asking stupid
It was
questions.
actually here was my first agency. Before they moved locations, but it was at the Music Factory, so
Cool.
it was cool.
Cool. What do you? You're natural at it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. What do you enjoy about it?
I really enjoy just having that creative aspect too, and kind of getting used to my body because growing up I wasn't really the most confident person.
Interesting.
And yeah, I was like, nobody likes me, no boys like me. Like, I'm just gonna kind of go off of like my abilities, I suppose, and try to be funny. But it took me a long time to really learn how to love myself the way that I was and kind of just accept who I am, and that nothing about me makes me any less than anybody else. So it
And
kinda
modeling helped that.
helps me flourish in that aspect. So
That's really
bring
cool.
me out of my shell.
So is that kind of when the fitness stuff happened?
Yeah, it all
It's
kind
around
of
the
just started
same-
happening at the same time. It was
Get
really
you,
weird.
girl.
Yeah,
Just coming up in the world.
I know, crazy.
So, how does the agency stuff work? Have they contacted you for jobs yet, or
There is a few times in my inbox they'll bring me some stuff or text me some stuff, and a lot of times it's not exactly what I want to do. If I don't really want to go into too much detail, but it's like I feel like I can do something else, do something better than what I'm doing right now. So
you mean the particular types of jobs that they send you
yeah,
are not your thing?
yeah, or
Yeah,
I
I
don't
get that.
suit the role. They they want 5'6" or taller, and they want the specific age, or
Yeah.
you need to be like this, or you need to be able to do this, and
Well,
eventually we're gonna get there, I suppose. But
yeah. Well, I know that the whole modeling thing has kind of broadened now. It used to be really thin, super tall,
Yeah.
and now I feel like they look for the opposite of that,
yeah,
which is smart.
for sure.
And in the fitness world in general, they look for a particular type of aesthetic
Mhm.
for all that stuff. Have you tried to get any fitness gigs?
I have, but I haven't done a test shoot that's fitness yet, so I haven't
Come on, man, you gotta call me, bruh.
I know. I did do one, but I wasn't super happy with the images just because I was not I literally cried at the photo shoot because I felt terrible.
No way.
Because it was at a gym, and then there was 2 other girls I was having a photo shoot at the same time, and I was like, I do not look as good as them. I'm
Oh,
not supposed to be here. It was total imposter syndrome. I started breaking down. I was like,
Oh,
I am
man.
not supposed to be here. So
When
that kind of put a damper on the whole thing.
was that recent?
That was about probably a year ago or some
okay.
change. Yeah,
Oh, we got to get back up in there. And
I know. I need to.
yeah, that's one of my favorite things to shoot. I just don't get a lot of it.
Right.
I used to be NASM certified.
Really?
Yeah,
That's cool.
back when I used to work out on a regular basis. That's how all this started.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I bought a camera to do YouTube fitness stuff.
Nice.
And then instead of doing that, I would go to
Just,
the coffee shops and play with the camera instead of go to the gym.
well, it got you to where you are today, so
correct.
did something right.
Correct. But yeah, I wanna do more of it. It's something else that I was always passionate about.
Mm.
And since I know the world so well, I know how to capture it.
Right.
But I don't get hit up too much. So if y'all are listening to this or watching this, hit me up for your fitness shit.
Oh yeah, you won't regret it.
I was listening to one of your podcasts. I forget which one. I think it was the first one. And you were talking about how you were raised and stuff like that.
Mm.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Did you grow up without a father?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he left when I was like 10 or 11.
10 or 11.
Mm-hmm.
Are you comfortable talking about that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I can relate. How was that?
It was pretty tough. I was a daddy's girl, like most people.
Mm-hmm.
He was my hero, and I just wanted him to be there for the whole time, obviously. But I was mostly upset because of the way it affected my mom,
Mm-hmm.
and I just kind of like stuffed it down for a really long time too.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, my aspect on it now, it made me who I am today. I wouldn't be the same person if he had stayed, so I'm happy with how it turned out.
Do you ever get to communicate with him or anything like that?
He texts me every now and then. It's kind of on and off, so
Awkward?
a little bit,
Yeah.
because I don't know how to really interact with him.
How does he try to interact with you?
He basically just like texts me like, hey, sorry, happy birthday, I know it's late, but I didn't have time to send you anything. And I was like, it's fine. And then like 2 weeks later, he'll send me a birthday gift, and he's like, happy birthday. And I was like, thanks. Yes. Take what I can get, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a few thoughts on that. So I grew up without a father, and he passed away in 2020, right before the. Oh, that's cool. Thank you. He passed right before the whole pandemic closing of everything happened. But he left for different reasons. I don't, now I think about it, I don't know the whole story, but
I mean, there's two sides to every story.
Exactly.
So.
Growing up, they made it seem like he was a monster and didn't give a fuck about us.
Right.
But that was not entirely accurate. But he would try, and the last few years of his life, he tried really hard to be in our lives. And here's what I regret. I didn't know. I knew he was very, very sick, but I didn't know that he was going to pass so soon.
Right.
Or I was in denial or whatever the fuck it was.
You just weren't prepared.
I was not.
Yeah.
I was afraid to get close to him because of that as well.
Oh.
So, granted, the night before he passed, I got to, say things to him, even though at that point he could only hear me. He couldn't really respond.
Gotcha.
The morning after he passed away, and I'll never forget. It was like an instant pain, like when somebody sucker punches you. But it wasn't like a I grew up with my father, I'm gonna miss him pain. It was one of those, I am going to regret this for the rest of my life, not giving him the opportunity, even though I thought he didn't deserve it.
Right.
And that has always stuck with me.
It's more of the what could have been than
right.
What happened.
Yeah, I always think about it like, it must have taken him a lot to come here and be around us, so why couldn't I have been the bigger person and given him the opportunity?
Right.
But I know what it's like growing up. People think growing up without a parent gets easier. as you get older, it actually gets harder.
Yeah. Yeah.
It actually gets harder. So I can definitely relate to that. But yeah, if I could go back in time, I would, whenever he tried to reach out, I would 100% change the way I reacted to that, for sure.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they know they fucked up.
Yeah, and they don't know how to.
And they don't know how to fix it.
They don't know how you'll react, and then they don't know what to do to kind of assess the situation.
Yeah, but I didn't know that until it was too late. But how do you think it's affected you as a young female? Because I remember my sister was also a daddy's girl, and it affected her a lot more than it affected me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it did give me trust issues. I didn't really I was interested in guys, but like I was just very closed off, so I didn't really, I guess, solicit myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really think it affected me too much. Just I relied mostly on my girlfriends who had like good, healthy dads. I was like, wow, like look at how much he loves his wife.
Yeah.
And that's really what stuck with me. Like I've adopted like 5 dads. The whole I'll adopt a dad from every place that I work with. All my best friends, their dads are my dads. And I just kind of adopted them as my own. And it sucked, and I was always like, why can't I have that myself? But I just kind of gotten to the point where I will give that to my daughter, so I've grown peace with it, and it is what it is. I'll have my issues, of course. I'll need to break through them, mostly trust, but
But you're currently in a relationship right now.
I am, yeah.
Cool. And how's that going?
It's great.
Awesome.
He fills all my boxes, and he tells
BFF.
me when I'm being crazy, and
nice. Yeah, you need that.
It's
Everybody
a good balance.
needs that.
Yeah. I have my moments.
Yeah,
I'm aware of
everybody
that.
does.
Yeah.
Everybody does. There's no, it's funny because being in a relationship, after you pass the honeymoon phase, that's when the work starts.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that's why, especially people in my generation and younger, that's where they drop the ball. They don't realize that a relationship is actually like work.
Yeah.
So it needs to be work that you enjoy.
Right.
Meaning that you still need to make sure that that's the person you want to dedicate that to.
All that commitment and time and patience to one person.
But a lot of people, again, with our generations, they don't understand that. They don't want to put the work in.
Oh, no. That's not valued because you've got something shinier off in the corner.
Yeah. Oh man, don't even get me started on that. What do you think of the dating scene right now?
It's terrifying. It's really terrifying because I don't know. I lose faith in a lot of men my age whenever I look at social media. Sometimes it's like, wow, that one's a really good one. But, even like some of the best guys that my mom has known, she was like, yeah, I've been friends with this guy. And I told him, everything that happened in my marriage. And he went and did the same exact thing. And I was like, wow, Yeah, I'm just like, dang, there's someone going to have those trust issues and abandonment issues like bubbling up. But I'm lucky to have who I am.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get it. Because like I'll scroll through TikTok is the biggest one. I'll scroll through TikTok. And there's these podcasts. There's a podcast called Fresh and Fit. It's this guy. He'll invite like 8 or 9 females on the podcast, different kinds of females, and he'll ask them questions. And I will never forget. He asked them something like, "Would you rather have a really handsome guy but only makes like 30 grand a year but he's faithful to you and he's good to you, or would you rather have the guy that pays for all of your stuff and gives you an allowance but cheats on you? Which one would you take?" And 9 out of it must have been 8 or 9, I want to say 90% of the girls said I would choose the guy that would pay for my stuff.
That makes me lose even more faith.
And I was it's horrifying.
That's terrible. They don't see the true value in like one person.
It's horrifying. Well, here's the thing. This is what social media has done. Social media has given people what they think are options. Right. They think the people that they see on their phones are like accessible.
Yeah.
They think it's like a fucking menu. And since females predominantly own the dating scene, they know.
Yeah.
They know because it's like, it's simple. A guy's DMs is not going to look the same as a female's
sure,
DMs.
yeah.
So, females treated as, well, I'm not all females, but what that podcast showcases is those kind of females, which there are a lot of. It's fucked.
Yeah.
It's so fucked.
That's
so
scary.
yeah. So
I've had a lot of guys that have been like, especially at welding school, they were like, I mean, if you and so-and-so never work out, can I be next?
that's fucking.
And I'm like, I've seen the way you act and how you speak about women. I don't want any part of that because I would never trust you.
Just by them saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, what gives you
Yeah.
the idea that you can just say that to me and think, yeah, I'm just going to go with it.
Yeah. It's so fucked, man. I'm not saying that women are the only devils.
No,
in the
I mean,
dating scene, but
yeah, both sides. There's issues on both sides.
But that says a lot about, that individual.
For sure.
That's very disrespectful.
Yeah.
Anyways, I know this is a short, very, very short podcast, but I wanted you to come on here because this is the most you have ever spoken to me.
My bad.
And you have no, but that's but it's. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I feel like you have, even though you're young, you have a lot to say. You've obviously gone through some things.
Thank you.
And I heard a couple of your podcasts, and I think a lot of, especially females, will resonate to it. So keep that going.
I hope so.
You're very good at the modeling stuff. Keep that
Thank you.
going. I just kind of wanted to have you on here and introduce
Well,
you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and keep encouraging you to do your thing. So before we end it, I like to ask all of my guests a question. And I like to ask them if someone else was in your shoes wanting to pursue the things you want to pursue or go after their goals or their dreams. And I know there's several things you could say, but if there was one thing you could say, what would you tell that person? You can take your time.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a lot of tidbits. I've got like 2 whole notebooks filled of like a bunch of notes from all the podcasts I've listened to. But the one that I'm really focusing on right now is learning to trust myself.
Oh,
and that no matter what I choose, I thought it was the right decision in that moment. And I just need to be able to roll with the punches and make it work. Learn to trust yourself, and you got it.
So not being afraid of failure.
Yeah, because, I mean, every failure is just one more stepping stone to what you want to get to. So,
facts. You learn more.
It's not that deep. Remember that.
You learn more from your mistakes.
For sure.
That was, for me, last year was I learned so much last year, just in 1 year.
In a small period of time.
In a very small period of
A
time.
whirlwind of things.
Dude, it was the most anxiety I've ever felt in my life. But it built things, or it brought things out of me that I didn't know I had.
That's great.
Yeah. So, there's a reason why they call it boot camp, because they want to get that shit out of you.
Oh, yeah.
And that, I that's a very good one. No one's ever said that on here.
I try.
Go girl.
I'm trying.
So tell people where they can find you, your socials, your podcast, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I've got like 3 social medias, but I guess my main would be Cheyenne _F Sand, and then my podcast Instagram is actualizedpotential.podcast. It's in my bio, by the way. I know it's really long.
I'll have everything in the description of the podcast. So if you're listening to this, it'll be in the description.
Thank you. And my podcast is on Spotify, Apple, Google, pretty much anywhere you can listen. So.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your stuff.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you to everyone who was listening. Shout out to Bokao Sushi for hosting another podcast. Have you been here?
I have not, unfortunately, not yet.
Have you seen like the nightlife videos?
I have seen everything that you've posted. It looks great. So I definitely will be coming.
You got to bring the boyfriend over here, man.
Oh, I know. He'd love it.
So thank you guys at Bokao Sushi for hosting another podcast. And thank you to Kevin, who's behind the scenes all the time. And thank you to Cheyenne.
Thank you.